All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel for Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. Before we get started, please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly,
subscribe
to the Buffalo Plus channel.
16K.
16K, woo! All right, that was really embarrassing. Okay, today,
we're definitely gonna leave that in.
Let's just keep going. All right, today Ken Dorsey had an amazing quote. Okay, you asked him about where he will be calling plays because Sean McDermott made a comment about it.
Yeah, the add a little context is we don't know where Ken Dorsey's going to call plays. He's been in the booth for the first two preseason games, doesn't know if that's where he's going to stay for the entire season. But we asked Josh Allen about it yesterday, and he said that Sean McDermott has threatened heavy fines upon any coach that gets flagged for unnecessary or for unsportsmanlike conduct to a referee. So Josh said it's probably a good thing that he stay up in the box. Now, we have heard all training camp, really this all offseason, about how much of a crazy person, apparently, and how intense Ken Dorsey is.
Yeah.
So I asked him, well, hey, like, where are you going to call the plays? Does it have anything to do with what Josh said about the heavy fines?
Yeah.
And he laughed and said, I'd like to think I'm not that much of a sociopath, but he's intense. He goes, it's a game. I get intense about it. But it was just the snippet that I tweeted out just was perfect for anybody that says, their sociopath tendencies.
Yeah. The psychopath tendencies. I love how he said that too.
Psychopath.
I'm not too much of a psychopath.
Yeah.
Because same Ken, we're all in this boat together.
We're all in there.
Yeah. All right. What else did you make of what Ken Dorsey had to say? Because we saw Josh Allen obviously take some of those reps in terms of the preseason game. Things went well.
Yeah.
And just, that collaboration as things move forward.
I think it's continuing to grow. I think there's still going to be learning or, some learning pains as it goes along. But I think having that familiarity with the last 3 years, I mean, this is nothing new. I think that does help going into it. Josh has said time and time again that the play clock winds down so quickly that you really need to be able to finish each other's sentences and kind of read each other's minds. So while that may seem like a crazy thing to do, they've been doing it for 3 years. So I think that's part of it. To me, the question becomes where Ken Dorsey sees, Jenna, the backup tight end spot. Because I think a lot of people have asked us about tight end too, and I really think it's a wide open competition.
We were talking today at practice, and we were talking about how everyone has made this competition hard, except for O.J. Howard. And obviously,
he's made it hard for his contract.
Yeah, and that's something that the Bills have to get real about as we look ahead. We have the 53-man roster cut-down day coming up soon. I mean, I feel like he has been given every opportunity Howard has to kind of succeed in this offense, but yet you're still wanting not just more, but a lot more.
Yeah, and you saw, like I said, the second preseason game, Quentin Morris got the start.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Dawson Knox not being there, they went with Quentin Morris. And Ken can say, well, we wanted to get this look and that look. Whatever you want to say, it's not a good look. O.J. Howard in the first game was getting reps in the fourth quarter. O.J. Howard, we have said it time and time again, a massive human being.
Yeah.
But there has been, Dawson Knox has made plays at training camp, Tommy Sweeney's made plays, Quentin Morris has made plays, all plays that made you go, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
O.J. Howard has yet to do that. Yes, he caught a touchdown in the preseason game. Woo! I think that, this is, and again, we were talking about it, the thought of just having him be on the team to be this blocking tight end is an obsolete position and a waste of a roster spot.
I agree, but that's where things get tricky with the money and how that would be able to be worked out. But I think you said it perfect. Those other guys made plays where you're like, wow. And then O.J. Howard made a play and you're like, wow. Like, you just expect more from him, his size, just what you're able to see, but we just haven't seen those results. And we got to talk to Brandon Beane today, and he said, they have the number in mind of getting down to 53. Beane did say there's going to be probably some restructuring of contracts later on this week, see what that means. But that, to me, is just something where, as the competition has gone on, as the summer has gone on, he just hasn't been in.
Other guys have flashed, he has not. And I think that's what it really comes down to. Again, this thought of him being this number 2 blocking tight end for $4 million or whatever it is, or $2.5 million it is, would be his dead cap hit to cut him. Tommy Doyle has proven to be, if they want to have somebody in there to be a blocking guy.
Tommy Sweeney.
Tommy Doyle. They have these extra linemen that they have installed in the past where it's we can have O.J. Howard, who's a good blocking tight end, or we could have an actual lineman who's better at blocking. So this thought of having him be this I don't know. And like I said, I asked Ken Dorsey about Tommy Sweeney. big fan of his, and he said that how much he has progressed in both the run game as well as the passing game. He's a guy that I never thought was overly athletic, but honestly, he has shown more athleticism so far this offseason than O.J. Howard.
Yeah, I think you've seen those flashes from him.
Yep.
We talked about Brandon Beane talking today. He gave us an update on TRE WHITE just in terms of there is no exact date when we will see him. Now, Brandon Beane did say that Ike Bucker has been added to the PUP list. He did not say anything about TRE WHITE being added to the PUP list as of yet, but he did say they're running out the clock on that.
Don't love that.
If you're a Bills fan, what do you make of that?
Don't love that. Don't love that one bit. Look, we haven't even seen TRE out at practice.
Not even in a uniform.
We haven't even seen him the last few days working off to the side with the other guys that are rehabbing. We've seen Jordan Poyer. We've seen all of those guys. Haven't seen TRE. And obviously, if you go on PUP, you automatically miss the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah.
So when Sean talks about, or when Brandon talks about, this buys us another week. We're not going to make the move right now. We're trying to see where he gets to and how he progresses. It's not a great sign. It's concerning to me to think, are they thinking, hey, is it 2 games? Is it 3 games that he might miss?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's going to be ready to play football in 16 days against, the defending Super Bowl champs. So doesn't look great for TRE, as well as he could miss the first 4 games. One of them includes against Miami, who has one of the top wide receiving duos in football right now. So it is a concern.
I definitely think it is a concern, especially considering, like we said, we haven't seen him out there on the practice field. And that is something that they made abundantly clear. They need to see him be practicing for I don't want to say substantial and put words in their mouth, but I would imagine it would be a substantial amount of time after coming off of an injury like that. Brandon Beane said he's not going to practice on Thursday, Friday, and play in a game on Sunday. That's just not how it works. I think long-term, looking at things, I just want to remind you that this was not an oil change when we were equating an ACL surgery to an oil change. So there's that. I just wanted to make sure I got this in there. But also, I think long-term, I wouldn't say panic button. I wouldn't say that, but at the same point, you want to have TRE WHITE out there, but most importantly, you want to have a healthy TRE WHITE out there. And if that takes a little bit of time, I think it's got to be worth it.
Interesting today to me. I know I say interesting a lot to usually start my sentences.
Same,
but
that's fine.
Brandon Beane said that the doctor that performed TRE WHITE surgery was not the team doctor. And for him to put that out there to me just was one of those things where maybe they've had their team doctor do the surgeries and they kind of know they have more of a baseline of how his work is done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to say it. I'm like Rex Ryan. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how any of that works. But it was an interesting tidbit that he dropped in there that, look, TRE got surgery that wasn't the team doctor. And he's progressing well and everything's great. Yeah. But we still haven't seen him. We have seen him at times ramp up his intensity of running and jumping and leaping. But we haven't seen him put pads on. I don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. I think week 2 is absolutely in question mark. I think they're trying to see if TRE will only miss 1 or 2 games, or if he's going to miss 3, you probably got to put him on PUP and give him a 4th game.
Yeah.
And then I guess you're assuming that you're only going to miss 4 games, which you can make is not always the case.
Yeah.
A lot of guys miss 6 games when they go on the PUP because you're just trying to work back in. So a lot to break down as TRE WHITE remains a mystery.
And I think the Bills did a really good job of not setting a date, because I think when we talked about this in the offseason, we're like, well, he'll be ready for week 1. The Bills never said that. They never went out and said that, because I think that's what you tailor your expectations to.
Yeah.
And once again, they still have not given a date. And that to me is the one thing where I kind of take pause and say, I don't love that. Not that they would say, hey, it's going to be, this Sunday coming up or whatever, but the fact that they haven't said like he's close, that's what gives me concern.
Agreed.
Okay. All right, let's talk about, we talked to Leslie Frazier as well today. And look, we've talked so much about Von Miller and what he adds to this team.
And toilet paper.
Yes, and toilet paper. But one thing that Leslie Frazier was talking about today was just the fact that Von is so willing to teach those younger players. Mm-hmm. And Leslie said, I've been around great players. That's not always the case. But I think how welcoming Von has been to kind of bringing those guys along. And I think we saw the Von Miller effect today at practice.
Yeah, Von, after drills, first team reps, when they go up against one another, he runs to the opposing end zone. It's something that he has done throughout training camp. If you were at training camp at St. John Fisher, you probably saw number 40 running away at the end when most of the guys go to the sidelines. Vaughn runs to the far end zone. That is a trend that is picking up now. Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, a lot of those guys are also now following behind in his footsteps, which, again, it's nice to follow a, future Hall of Famer.
I first saw Ed do it, and then I quickly saw Greg also do it as well. And look, I mean, I think that says more about doing the little work and how that looks to add up. But at the same point, I thought that was kind of a cool moment and a moment that Bills fans would probably be interested in because, let's be real, they want to see more production out of that defensive line. Von Miller will absolutely help in that, but you want to see those other guys continue to progress. All right, final notes from practice. Anything come to mind?
It's going to be tough to see how many wide receivers the Bills keep. I think that's the other interesting point between, like, Isaiah Hodgins has stacked good days on top of good days. Is it enough? I don't know. Jake Kummerow hasn't flashed like he did last training camp.
Correct.
So those guys kind of are in there.
The one reason I think right now it might be Kummerow over Isaiah Hodgins is only because Brandon Beane talked about how much they value those special team reps. Now, Isaiah Hodgins says he feels more comfortable on special teams. He's been growing in that way. But at the same point, you have a reliable guy in Kummerow. The risk reward is there.
I'll go a step further. I agree with you 100%. If you cut Jake Kummerow, another team picks him up. If you cut Isaiah Hodgins, you can probably sneak him back into your practice squad and kind of stash him away. Kummerow is a much bigger name, more well-known.
Aaron Rodgers.
He knows Aaron Rodgers would be all over it. So that is something that I think is the other thing where you talk about, you just put him on the practice squad. Everybody goes, we'll just put him on the practice squad. Well, to get him on the practice squad, you have to cut him and open him up for any other team. So while a lot of times, Duke Williams was never going to get picked off another team, Jake Kummerow could easily get picked off this Bills team because it's happened before.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something to keep in mind when you do see some of those cuts. Maybe a guy they like a lot. Like, I do think they like Hodgins a lot, but I think it's one of those situations where maybe he's a more under the radar guy that you have the possibility of bringing him back to the team as opposed to a bigger name guy like you mentioned of Kummerow.
Diggs, Davis, McKenzie, Crowder, Shakir, Kummerow.
Yeah. We'll see.
And then OBJ. It's going to be great.
Shimmy him on there.
Just shoehorn him in there. It's going to be great.
All right, we'll be back to practice again tomorrow. For Dan, I'm Jenna. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. We'll be here again, but for now, thanks for watching Buffalo Plus.